Hey family, how's it going? So yes, I'm outside today. Isn't it amazing? We'll hear the birds chirping. Let's see, I'll move to the side because I have some really beautiful flowers right back here. So I'll just kind of give it a few minutes and see if people join. I'm going to do my own homework right here, right now. So if you're watching the replay, you can do the homework with me, whether you're driving or whatever. You don't, writing it down is better, but just say it out loud. Okay, what's wrong with the world? Now, you might think that this is a universal thing where everybody ought to agree. It's obvious. It's that thing I want you to write about. Okay, wrong with world. And I'm just going to write down like maybe a sentence or two, and then we dial it down a little further with what's the core issue. Okay, so what's wrong with the world? Take a second and think about that. Okay. Did you get that core issue? What it kind of dissolves down into? Keep dialing it down. Core issue. If you need more time, just pause the video. Okay, so the next question is, and don't worry about this being simplistic or, whatever. Just do it. Just go with me, and then you might know where I'm headed and why I'm doing this and what the lesson is, but the teaching. But you can apply this to so many different things. Okay, so solve, question mark. How do we solve this? And then the second question is the second part of that is, what do people need to do? Okay, how do we solve this? Or if you think bears are like the biggest problem, what should bears do? Okay. Okay, the next question, which I haven't tried yet, is why aren't people doing this? Just make a comment about this. Why aren't they doing it? Are they doing it? How well are they doing it? Just some commentary on that. Okay. So, if you have done your homework, or if you did that exercise with me, you're going to have so much material to work with here. I'm sorry that the table keeps bouncing around. Let me address that. Haven't really set up headquarters outside yet, but it's finally nice enough. Wow, it's just fabulous today. So, okay, we are like Velcro, and we are always rubbing up against the world. We're always making contact. And responding. It's like our nervous systems are constantly interacting, and that's sometimes why we just really need to unplug. We need to like go out into nature, because nature just is always in this pure vibration of authenticity, free of baggage, agenda, fear, ego, shit like that. So that helps us to reset. But in our interacting with the world and reacting to it, really, what we're really doing, here's the key, we're looking at ourselves, we're feeling ourselves. What's the one consistent thing about that Velcro of our mind, of our energy bodies, interacting, hooking, getting hooked? It's us. So maybe the objective is to uncurl all our little Velcro so we don't hook. I don't know. But anyway, let's explore this. So what did you say is wrong with the world? It's an easy target. There's always something wrong with the world. But what grabs your attention, and what's very interesting to me, is that what I thought was wrong with the world and the biggest concern yesterday is quite different from what I wrote down today. So, yesterday, what I wrote is that people don't know their own power. They don't know the power of their no, of saying, I don't consent. They don't know the power of their own sovereignty to choose their reality. They feel subject to and victim of everything that's around them. Like, oh, I can't get a loan from the bank because they're going to make me do this and this and this, and I won't qualify. And that's the only way I could ever, get a house is through that, or I could never have that job that I want because basically what I want to do is like sit around and taste fabulous food for a living, and like who would pay somebody to do that? And all these things are possible. But that's what I was seeing yesterday is people are subject to. So what is the core issue is that people don't know their own sovereignty and their own power. What do people need to do? Let's see, what did I say? They need to just realize that they are powerful and ask themselves the question, what do I really want? And what's my zone of genius? And how can I move into that? And then, take action. Well, that's where I was yesterday. That was all about me. Yes, that's a huge problem in the world, but we're always talking about ourselves when we're talking about what's going on out there. Always. When we're mad at our partner, triggered by something, we even appreciate something, we're seeing a reflection of ourselves. And I didn't want to believe that a long time ago, but just try it on. Try it on. And okay, so today, what was my answer? What's wrong with the world? We're not listening to each other. This is the problem. We're not listening to each other. We are in, what's the core issue is people are either in fear or love. And when you're in ego and fear, you can't be open. Your heart is closed because you're in protection mode, you're in survival mode, and so you're not open to listen. So being in a state of openness and repose, what is required to be in that state? So that we can be open to be present with ourselves. Okay, so that's what's wrong, is that we're afraid and we're not really fully in our bodies. Okay, how should people solve this? And my answer was, we have to become present to ourselves so that we can become present to others. We need to own our own shit, and I wrote that in all caps. Own our shit. Bring in our higher selves, divine consciousness, and reach for a higher vibration. So connecting with the higher self. This is my solution to people being in fear, and so much so that they're not really present to their own experience. And that's why they can't listen to each other. So, and so here's the next question. Why are we not doing this more? Why are people so dissociated in a state of fear and survival and not really able to listen to each other? Well, what I said is some people are, and getting back into our bodies and really centered can be sort of a crisis-oriented thing. So it's hard to just choose it because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you have to get forced into the realization that you're not in your body, because we get comfortable. And there is a shadow side to being comfortable. Sometimes we stay comfortable at the cost of growth, positive movement. Do something different. The reason people aren't doing this, is because to do something different, you have to leave your comfort zone. So how is this me today? This is me calling to myself to say, are you in ego and fear, or are you in love? What are you going to do about that? Sit and meditate, stop, become present to yourself. And just earlier, I was fighting this urge to just run around and get busy and do stuff. But I found that just laying down on my yoga mat over there in the grass, that felt right. But this ego fear is like, uh-oh, I have to be busy. Those are my Elon Musk jokes. I'm going to do my Elon Musk video on the day of the eclipse. I didn't realize that when I scheduled that, but I'm really excited about doing that. Yeah, whoever he is, he's playing possibly one of the most important roles on the public stage in the world today. So let's examine that Two of Clubs, eh? Anyway, so getting back to this, yeah, this is a template for looking at your own stuff. And it's also a template for looking at how you are with yourself. Are you really, really angry at the world? Do you feel like you're a victim of the world? Are you frustrated? Are you, like, oh my God, they can't see the truth. They can't see what's happening, or they can't hear me, or nobody's validating me, or, whatever it is. And the tone that we bring to that tone is living in our bodies. Have you met somebody who's just like pretty chilled out about the world? And you're like, how do you do that? It's because they're chilled out about themselves. And there is a healthy level of differentiation between myself and the world. What's out there? Things that I can't control. And what is so simple and clear and obvious to me in all of this is that this is the way to change the world. This is what we can do. What is within your realm of control? And yes, there are things that we can do and organize and take action. But unless those actions are coming from a place of centeredness and clarity, where we have learned to be with ourselves with honesty, authenticity, integrity, compassion, responsibility, owning our stuff, healing our wounds, then a lot of that activism is going to come from an ego place or an attempt to fix. If I can fix that out there, what I'm really doing is trying to fix something in here. And like I've said in my previous videos, go for it. Sometimes you're not ready to know what it is that you're trying to heal within yourself. But, the things that we do, the things we get frustrated about, the action we feel drawn to take, it's all deeply connected to ourselves and our own stuff and what we need to own. So I was really hoping this was going to be interacting. I don't have this quite dialed yet. I'm looking for my zone of genius. So let me talk about that for a second, because that's okay. I'm going to change gears now. Maybe I'll put this in the notes that at 13 minutes we shift to talking about something potentially related. At about 14 minutes, I shift gears to talk about your zone of genius. Okay, and I bet I can pin message. Okay, learning the skills one tiny little bit at a time. Okay, so the zone of genius, let me just say this, and it'll really get you cooking on what this is. Gay Hendricks wrote this book called The Big Leap, and it's about living from that place. How do you get there? Why are you not there? And we tend to live in a zone of competence or even excellence. Like, oh, I'm really good at this, so everybody always asks me to do this. But what do you want to be doing? So he takes you through these steps of asking these questions. Like the very first thing he asks you to do is commit to being happier than you've ever been in your whole life. And we have a tendency, it's like a homeopathic setting. I have a set point for the amount of happiness and success that I can live with, that I'm comfortable with, and literally that feels safe to me. And all of us are like, oh, I wish I had $1 billion. But let me ask you this. How do you feel about really, really wealthy people? Have you said some mean things about some wealthy people lately? And if so, take a look at that. Is there some contempt for people that have a lot of money? I have sadness when I think about how certain people got their money, but the valence on that is really shifted. And I think it's because I've given myself permission to make a lot of money. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm really excited about moving into that place and just opening up my own ceiling. So we have homeostatic setting that is our upper limit, and that's something that he describes. We all have an upper limit. And when you commit to doing something expansive, unfamiliar, outside your comfort zone, but sometimes there's a lot of suffering in that comfort zone. Like I was really addressing that in what I thought was wrong with the world today is that everybody is in their comfort zone and they have to do something different to leave it. And that's why most people haven't left their comfort zones. It's simply the discomfort of doing something different, the fear, the risk. Guess what? It's a game, it's a matrix. On some level, it's not real. And on another level, it's completely real. Otherwise, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't get the experience, you know. But take a risk. That's all I'm saying is try to loosen up the pressure that we put around ourselves and take a risk and do something different. And I'm writing a book called Little Things. And it's about doing it differently, but in incremental ways. So what you're doing is you're introducing something to your nervous system and saying, that was okay. I did 3 push-ups before I went to bed and I'm okay. And then to keep it really small, because what you're doing is, in my book, now I understand, is that you are finding a way around activating the sabotage mechanism, your upper limit. And so what I was doing was trying to do a sideways crawl like a crab, because that's how ADD people sneak up on. Because the executive function, there's something missing here. So if we go sideways, distract ourselves into doing something, you know, or keep it really small, you know, 3 push-ups every night for a month. And it's very unlikely that it would stay at 3. But if I did, I would just like, there would be some development there. And then I would be like, oh, this is safe. This is okay. I'm strong and this is okay. But at some point, there might come this sabotage mechanism that's like, oh, it's risky. It's scary for me to be strong. And there is a whole list. There's a chapter on that, and I can counsel you through this very effectively, because this is my zone of genius. Is I can help you unravel exactly why you're sabotaging yourself. What is the old program? What's the old message? And that is, I bring some genius to that, where I can tune in with my nervous system. The human design is such a great way to explain my own psychic ability. I have an open splenic and an open sacral, and I can take people and things into there because it's empty, or whatever they call it, open, and I can feel it in its entirety and then tell you, here's what I'm seeing. And I can do it in a way that's non-judgmental. I'm just telling you exactly, this is the energetic snapshot I'm getting of what happened to you and why you believe this about yourself, and why did you get in a bike accident right after you got that new job with a higher paying salary. And this is the weird thing too, is that sometimes these things that sabotage are, oh, just when I was about to be happy, we do manifest them. There's the principle of vibration and frequency, and the fear is manifesting something because we need to slow it down a little. It's just going a little too fast. It's a little too scary. But what this book does is it like holds your hand, and you know, me even just conveying this to you, if you weren't aware of this before, you are now. And that gentle, simple awareness that you might sabotage yourself if you commit to your happiness and success. It will make you aware, and that's over half the battle. And like one of my favorite things to do is to pick a fight with my husband. Like I have a really great day. I've, been in my zone of genius, creativity, all day. Some really good stuff happens. And then he gets home, and then I'm just like, why did you leave the counter dirty this morning? I'll find something to nitpick. And there is this unconscious mechanism that knows exactly how to go in and get his goat and yank it. And then I'm going to get this whole great distraction and this drama. And oh my God, I'm so distressed about my marriage. It's very effective. Relationship shit is a very, very effective sabotaging mechanism. And there are a lot of other things that we do, but I can help guide you into your body and into the experience that needs to be had around why aren't you allowed to be happy? Why aren't you allowed to have this thing and that thing? And, man, setting intentions for this kind of thing. So I began reading this a while back. And, being ADD, I don't hang with things sometimes, and I would pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down. And during that period of time, I really came in touch with, I really want a house. I really, really just want a house. And like, yeah, I want to live in my zone of genius and all that other stuff. But like I did this card reading for myself and the 4 of spades came up. I was like, that's a house. Yes, that's what I want. That's what I really, really want, to own my own house. So I got taken on this journey. And among the things that happened was a generational clearing. My grandmother and the lifetime of deprivation that was experienced. And I got to clear that out of my body because that was living in there and it was manifesting my experience. So just by setting the intention to live in your zone of genius, to be happier than you've ever been, can set these things in motion. So hang with it. And the book again is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Okay, so what is the zone of genius and how do you figure it out? Okay, this is another amazing thing I've learned is that you ask the question, you put it into the chemical computer, and what might really amaze you is that information will come out. It will spit out an answer, maybe the next day, maybe the next week, and you'll get clues. And my chemical computer got to the clarity of, oh, here's what I do, and I wrote and wrote and wrote. This is my zone of genius. I know how to get into the nut of the problem. I use my psychic ability, my therapy background, my master's degree, the card system, and I can feel into exactly what's wrong and I can help to unravel that. And with my words and with my energy field, with my nervous system, with my guides, I can help people come to a place of relief, equilibrium, clarity, and self-compassion. That's my zone of genius, and I just freaking love it. It's so satisfying. I have another zone of genius, which is writing, and I haven't set my life up to do more writing. Sometimes we don't know what our zone of genius is. Like, I think there's a possibility that I'm really good at doing this for small businesses, NGOs, groups, companies where there's a dynamic, there's a problem going on, and hire me. Let me try this. Get everyone's birthday, put it all together, and be like, here's what's going on, everybody. Take individuals aside and say, this is your issue, and this is your issue. And what's so funny is that I did this when I was in first grade. This is another great clue. The book, The Soul's Code. No, it's not Pullman. It's, I might think of it later. He's passed, James Hillman passed away not too long ago. And he wrote the book, The Soul's Code. Absolutely excellent, easy, enjoying, entertaining read because he takes us through the lives of a lot of famous people and demonstrates how they were demonstrating their zone of genius. He doesn't call it that, but they were demonstrating it from an early age. And they were demonstrating either resistance and fear to it, or they were just living it out. And man, in first grade, I would take people aside in my mind and I would be like, this is her issue and this is what she needs to know and this is what's really going on. And I just have these fantasies about explaining things. And I'm sure there's a lot of projection in there too, because I was very heated and, I felt very small and vulnerable and fragile as a child. So I'd be curious to go back and see exactly what it is I was telling that girl in my mind. But anyway, so yeah, the zone of genius. Open up to discovering more about, okay, and it is marked by a sense of timelessness. You can do it forever and you don't get bored. You lose track of time. It's just so much fun. You just get consumed in it, and it's just, oh, that really is writing for me. Sharing and putting my insights into words. In the human design, I have the Genius to Freak channel open. And when that's coming through, when I'm hooked into something, it's just like, oh, God, I love it so much. So, yes, this process. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I had a lot of thoughts going around in my head about this whole process and my journey with it, but I would say the most important takeaway at this moment is trust yourself, trust your journey, trust the intentions that are available to you in the moment. And, like sometimes there is a condition going on in somebody's life that it's like, how come they're okay with that? Well, that's not on their screen yet because they're working on this. And have enough respect for yourself to say, this is on my screen. Why didn't it come up before? Doesn't matter. It's on my screen now. I want to address this part of my life, and all my will is bent on it. Like the ring, all his thought is bent on it. So those desires come up as we are ready to address them and break through all of the ceilings, the self-sabotaging, the programs. And that program of deprivation that I got from my grandmother, it really, I shed it very easily because it didn't really belong to me anymore and I'd stopped resonating with it. So it was ready to go. Just like when sometimes you just can't lose weight, you try and try and try and nothing works. And then all of a sudden you have a shift in your life and it just comes off. And that is probably because there was an energetic attachment to something. And then you softened around it, and over a period of time you finally let it go, just like a scab coming off, or a dead branch falling off. You've stopped giving it energy. So that's not a judgment Anyway, I'm going to check in with my guidance for a minute. Okay, if you want a session with me, there is a very easy way to contact me. And what I prefer is to be texted because of my ADD. I don't check my email regularly. I don't go back and check these comments sometimes ever. Sometimes I get in a flurry and I hyper focus on it. So the best way to get a hold of me is, and it's in the thing below. It's like, here's the link to my website. And you go, and I'm sorry, I need to rearrange the whole website, but you go to the readings tab, readings with Paula, or just click the get started button. I do need to rearrange how the whole thing flows, but the get started button asks you your birthday and then gives you a little, blah, blah, blah on that. Itiskismet.com is my website. But it's in the description below. So just go to the readings tab and my phone number is in there. And there's a request and some instructions about contacting me for a session. So just let me know what kind of session you would like. And I have a sliding scale. So don't let the price freak you out. I'm worth that and more. And that's part of my journey, is to say, yes, I am worth that and more. I'm the old carpenter that charges $3,000 to put a nail in, because I have a lifetime of experience that prepared me to do that in 5 seconds. So anyway, but I am so willing to work with you, especially if you feel very drawn to work with me. So anyway, that was really fun, and I hope you got something out of that. We were examining the whole realm of projection, and if you want to work more with this, I recommend going to, and I'll type it in the notes here. I can't see because I'm outside, but Byron Katie, she's just incredibly useful. I'll type in her name, Byron Katie. Go to her website and look up the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. Spelled that wrong, sorry. But anyway, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And it gives you an opportunity to really, especially when you're triggered, use it. Make use of all of that frustration and all of that energy. That's your wound. Those are your issues. Those are your false beliefs. That's all the shit that needs to get cleared out. And it's running around right there going, I want to get out. So the way you say yes is you run towards it and you go, how is this my shit? Own it. Own it. Say, I'm willing to own that this is my pain, my wound, something that happened to me, and I want to let it go. So show me how, but I am open and I'm willing to own what is mine. That doesn't mean that there aren't bad people doing bad things to you. And if they are, then get away from them. But, why were you drawn to that? Until you own it and shift it and heal it, you're going to keep manifesting it. So when the trigger has been pulled and you're feeling it, that's the sacred present moment opportunity to work with yourself and make some actual progress with something. So anyway, have a great day and I'll see you later.